Welcome to the law offices of Chris M. Ingram's Immigration Podcast. Today, we would like to bring to your attention a new tax, which some have referred to as a tax on visas and tourism. This new fee was included in President Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill, officially recorded as H.R. 1. Okay, let's get into it. Before we begin, we'd like to thank attorney Chris M. Ingram and his team for their diligent work in researching and preparing the legal research for this deep dive to keep our listeners up to date on what's going on in U.S. immigration. If you truly appreciate these deep dives, it's essential that you like, follow, subscribe, and leave a comment, as this greatly boosts the channel's reach. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. It means a great deal to us. Disclaimer, please do not consider any content on our channels as providing you with legal advice. If you'd like a free consultation, please go to www.breakthroughUSA.com. Finally, be sure to listen to the very end as we'll be presenting a special illustrative case study that addresses what happens when you need to extend your visa, so it's well worth a listen. Okay, so imagine this. You're planning a trip, maybe home for a wedding or just a visit, and suddenly there's this new cost you didn't expect right on your return ticket, basically. That's kind of what we're diving into today, this new $250 visa integrity fee. Let's start at the beginning. Where did this actually come from?
Well, it's not really a standalone thing. It's woven into H.R. 1. That's the official One Big Beautiful Bill Act that President Trump signed back on July 4th, 2025.
Right, the Big Beautiful Bill. I remember the coverage. And it wasn't just immigration, was it? It covered a lot.
Oh, absolutely. It's huge. Tax reforms, infrastructure spending, some healthcare stuff, and yeah, a really significant focus on robust immigration enforcement.
And what's fascinating, I think, is how the whole bill, including this fee, is really framed, isn't it?
Definitely. It's presented as this comprehensive America First agenda, and this fee specifically fits right into that narrative, sort of like a user pays model for border security, you could say.
A user pays model.
Yeah.
Interesting. It ties the cost of coming here directly to funding the system.
Exactly. It aligns the policy with that broader national strategy they were aiming for.
Okay, let's talk timing. The bill was signed July 4th, 2025. But the fee itself, when did it actually kick in?
That's a bit tricky. Technically, the law says it applies to visas issued starting in fiscal year 2025.
Which started way back on October 1st, 2024.
Right. But practically speaking, our team found that collections really only started ramping up after the bill was signed.
Yeah.
And Chris Ingram's legal team flagged a USCIS statement from July 11th, 2025. It basically warned that forms postmarked on or after August 21st, 2025 might get rejected if the fee wasn't paid.
So it's very much a now thing for people applying.
Very much so, even if the effective date was earlier on paper.
So this raises a big question when our researchers were looking into what's the real point of this fee, beyond just, collecting money?
That's key. Our legal team's analysis suggests it's got two main goals. One, enhancing compliance, making sure people stick to the terms of their visa. And two, directly funding those big enforcement initiatives in the bill. It's a way to make temporary visitors contribute to the cost of, well, border security and enforcement.
Right, compliance and funding. So how does it actually work, this $250? Who pays it? How does it stack up against the fees people already pay?
Well, our researchers explain it's a mandatory charge. It's also indexed to inflation, so it could go up each year.
Ah, okay.
And it's levied by the Department of State, specifically at the U.S. embassies and consulates abroad, usually when you're getting that visa stamp put in your passport.
And it hits a lot of different visa types, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. It's broad. We're talking B1, B2 for tourists and business folks, F1 students, H1B specialty workers like Sanjay in our case study later,
right?
H2A and H2B laborers, J1 exchange visitors. The list goes on. It covers most temporary non-immigrant visas.
And crucially, this isn't replacing the old fee, is it?
No, absolutely not. That's critical. Our team stresses this is additive. It's on top of the existing $185 non-immigrant visa application fee.
Wow. So you're looking at, what, $435 minimum upfront now for these visas?
At least, yeah. That's a pretty hefty increase, especially if you're, say, a family planning a trip.
And when exactly do you pay this?
Typically, it's after the visa interview at the embassy or consulate. And here's the real interesting part. It's non-refundable when you pay it.
Non-refundable upfront. Okay. But there's more to it.
Yes, and this is maybe the most unique part, the thing Chris and our attorneys have really been dissecting. It's this reimbursement mechanism.
Reimbursement, how does that work?
Well, the idea is if you, the visa holder, fully comply with everything you leave the U.S. within 5 days of your visa expiring, or you successfully extend your status without any violations.
Okay.
Then you might be able to apply to the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, for a refund of that $250.
Might be able, so it's not automatic.
Doesn't sound like it. DHS is apparently still working out the exact details and process for applying for that refund, but it's meant as a strong incentive to follow the rules.
A behavioral nudge, almost.
Mm.
Pay up front, get it back if you're compliant. Fascinating. So who's feeling this the most?
Primarily, it impacts nationals from countries that are not part of the Visa-Waiver program, the VWP.
Right, so countries where people generally need to get a visa before they travel to the U.S.?
Exactly. Think Mexico, India, Brazil, China, a lot of countries in Africa and the Middle East. Our team's research suggests this could affect millions of visitors each year based on past visa numbers.
But some people are exempt.
Yes, definitely important to mention. Citizens of VWP countries, and there are over 40 of them, like most of Europe, Australia, Japan, South Korea, the UK.
They don't pay this for the short trips.
Correct. Not for the standard 90-day visa-free stays under VWP. And Canadians coming for short visits are generally exempt too.
Any other waivers?
Our team says no blanket waivers are available. It really underscores that this is targeted at ensuring compliance from non-VWP nationals.
Got it. And the money raised? Where does it actually end up?
It goes into the General Treasury Fund, but it's specifically earmarked, essentially, to support that huge $170.7 billion allocation in the bill for border security.
And what does that cover? Chris's research mentions specifics, right?
Yeah, things like finishing parts of the border wall, massively expanding detention capacity. They're talking 125,000 beds by 2029.
Wow.
Hiring 10,000 more ICE officers and rolling out advanced tech like biometrics and AI for vetting travelers. It's a major investment in enforcement infrastructure.
Okay, so we've laid out the what and the how. Now let's get into the debate. What does this actually mean for the U.S., for its economy, its image? There are strong feelings here, I imagine.
Oh, definitely. Our team looked at both sides. The proponents, like the Trump administration, obviously, argue this restores integrity to the system.
Integrity, how so?
By making temporary visitors pay their fair share for border security costs. That's the framing. And at the same time, it incentivizes them to follow the rules, leave on time, don't overstay. It's that pay-to-play idea again.
And didn't President Trump mention this specifically?
He did. At the signing ceremony on July 4th, our researchers found quotes like him saying he signed an order to raise entrance fees for foreign tourists while keeping prices low for Americans, or making sure that visitors pay their fair share.
Right.
And later at a rally, he apparently called it a beautiful thing that will fund our walls and keep the bad guys out while good folks who follow the rules get their money back. Pretty direct language.
Very direct. Any other arguments from proponents?
Yeah, they also point out that other countries like Australia and the UK have similar entry fees, and they argue it directly tackles the problem of visa overstays, which pre-pandemic were estimated to be, over 700,000 a year.
So a targeted solution to a known issue, in their view.
That's the argument.
Okay, but there must be pushback. What are the critics saying? Our researchers must have found plenty.
Absolutely. The other side is quite vocal. Critics include big players in the tourism industry, immigration advocacy groups like the American Immigration Council. They're worried this could really damage economic inflows.
How so?
Yeah.
By deterring people from coming.
Exactly. Attorney Chris Ingram made a point about this, saying something like, within just 6 months of Trump being back in power, he has managed to shake up so many aspects of everyday life. Now he's shaking up global tourism in profound ways.
Shaking up global tourism.
Yeah.
That sounds serious for industries relying on international visitors.
It does, and the economic concerns are quite specific. Our team's study highlighted potential losses in the billions for hotels, restaurants, retail, even universities.
Universities?
Yeah.
Because of fewer international students.
That's a major concern. And also big events, like the 2026 FIFA World Cup the U.S. is co-hosting. Will attendance be hit?
Yeah, that's a big deal. Any specific figures or quotes from the industry?
Chris's team found some strong statements. Eric Hansen from the U.S. Travel Association called the fee a giant leap backwards, warning about a huge, 144% increase in visitor costs for some.
144%, wow.
Yeah, and Jeff Freeman, the CEO of that same group, labeled it a self-imposed tariff on one of our nation's largest exports, international travel spending.
A self-imposed tariff that frames it very differently from a security fee.
It does. It suggests the U.S. is potentially shooting itself in the foot, economically speaking, and it positions the visa system almost as a profit center, which is a big shift.
Feeling lost in a maze of visa types and paperwork? Don't know where to turn? We've got your back. With clear answers and real help, we'll guide you every step of the way. Let's navigate it together. Your journey starts today.
Hello, you must be Clara. Welcome to the law office of Chris M. Ingram.
Finally, I found a law firm that will help me achieve my American dream.
At this law firm, you are important to us. That's why we will be with you every step of the way. So join us at the office of Chris M. Ingram.
And are there concerns beyond just the dollars and cents?
Yes, definitely equity concerns. Critics argue it hits travelers from lower income, developing nations the hardest, turning access to the U.S. into something that depends more on your ability to pay this extra fee.
So a potential two-tiered system.
That's the worry. Attorney Chris Ingram also pointed out the practical impact. Many U.S. businesses are deeply worried, especially with a family of 4 facing an additional $1,000 in visa fees. They might just choose to go somewhere else, right?
Like Canada or maybe somewhere in Latin America?
Could be. Though Chris did add the caveat that travelers from VWP countries probably won't be deterred, so the overall impact is still, well, something we'll have to watch closely.
Okay, this is complex. To make it more concrete, let's use that case study our team put together. Tell us about Sanjay Patel.
Right, Sanjay. So imagine Sanjay Patel. He's a, let's say, 32-year-old software engineer from Bangalore, India.
Yeah.
He's been in Silicon Valley for a few years on an H-1B visa, working for a top AI company. He's doing great, really key to a big project.
Standard H-1B scenario. But his visa is expiring.
Exactly. So his employer needs to file for an extension. They submit the Form I-129 petition to USCIS in, say, early July 2025. Right after the big, beautiful bill became law.
Okay, so the timing is important here.
Very. Now, here's a crucial point our legal team really wanted to highlight. Sanjay's extension petition itself, because it's processed while he's inside the U.S., a domestic status adjustment.
Yes.
It is exempt from this new $250 visa integrity fee.
Ah, okay, that's a key distinction. So filing for the extension doesn't trigger the fee.
Correct. His extension gets approved maybe by mid-August. He gets his I-797 approval notice. His I-94 record is updated, extending his stay legally until, say, 2029. No $250 fee paid at this stage.
Okay, seems straightforward so far. But you mentioned a curveball.
Right. Life happens. Sanjay's younger sister back in Mumbai announces her wedding for September 2025. He absolutely has to go.
Of course.
So he books flights, plans a 2-week trip, but here's the issue. His original H-1B visa stamp in his passport, the one he used to enter the U.S. initially, is going to expire while he's in India.
Ah, so even though his status in the U.S. is extended and legal, he needs a new stamp to get back in.
Precisely. The status keeps him legal while he's here, but the stamp is his entry ticket.
So what does he do?
Standard procedure. While he's in India, after the wedding celebrations, he schedules an appointment at the U.S. consulate in Mumbai to get a new H-1B visa stamp based on his approved extension petition.
Okay, makes sense. And this is where the fee comes in.
This is exactly where the new reality hits him. At the consulate interview, everything looks good, his extension is verified, but then he's told about the new $250 visa integrity fee.
Ouch. Right there at the consulate.
Yep. He has to pay $435 on the spot. That's the new $250 fee, plus the standard $185 application fee.
And they explain why.
The consular officer likely explains it's part of ensuring integrity and reminds him that full compliance, like not overstaying his eventual departure, is required if he wants to potentially get that $250 back later from DHS.
So it's an immediate cost tied directly to getting that new entry stamp.
Exactly.
Does he get back into the U.S.? Okay.
Yeah, with the new stamp, he returns smoothly, gets back to his project, and then maybe a few months later, he remembers the refund possibility.
Ah, yes, the reimbursement.
He goes online, finds the DHS process, assuming it's clear by in some way, then submits proof he's maintained his status, maybe proof of his temporary departure if needed, and eventually DHS processes it. He gets the $250 back, maybe minus a small processing fee.
So this system worked for him eventually. But the key takeaway.
The key takeaway from Sanjay's story, connecting it back, is that the fee isn't triggered by the extension itself if you stay in the U.S. It activates when you travel internationally and need a new visa stamp to re-enter.
It's like a toll booth for re-entry for these visa holders.
Kind of, or like that golden key idea you pay up front to get back through the gate, but you can unlock a refund with good behavior. It really highlights the incentive structure.
Okay, that makes it much clearer. So, given all this, What are the practical steps? What should businesses, individuals, you listening, be thinking about now?
Well, our attorneys are emphasizing that companies, especially those with global teams, really need to factor this into their HR policies and budgeting.
How so?
Well, if you rely on H-1B workers, like Sanjay, maybe you need to set up funds to help cover this fee up front, or at least offer clear guidance on the reimbursement process. It's about managing expectations and potential disruptions.
And attorney Chris Ingram's team had specific recommendations too, right?
Yes, they suggest companies do internal audits, basically check the upcoming travel plans of their visa-holding employees.
To anticipate who might get hit with the fee.
Exactly, and maybe strategically schedule things like visa extensions or status adjustments to minimize unnecessary international trips, especially right now while things are still settling. A bit of logistical planning.
Makes sense. Looking ahead then, how will we know if this fee is actually working according to its proponents?
The metrics to watch will be things like visa overstay rates, do they go down? And of course, the revenue generated for those border initiatives, is it meeting targets?
But it sounds like the reception will continue to be mixed at best.
That's what our team's research indicates. You'll likely have ongoing debate about the economic impact versus the security gains. It's not a simple win-win.
Could this cause friction with other countries?
It's possible. We might see some diplomatic tensions, particularly with major non-VWP countries that send a lot of visitors or workers. Maybe it leads to negotiations about expanding the VWP or perhaps some bilateral deals to ease the burden.
A lot of potential ripple effects.
For sure. And domestically, politically, this policy reinforces that narrative of security, of self-reliance, which clearly appeals to a segment of voters. But it also, maybe subtly, pushes industries to think differently, perhaps more virtual collaboration, more investment in training local workers. It challenges the status quo reliance on some streams of international talent.
So wrapping up, this $250 fee, it's far more than just a line item on a consulate bill. It's tied into policy, economics, diplomacy, even individual behavior.
Absolutely.
And the big question remains, will it achieve those stated security and compliance goals without causing significant, perhaps unintended economic or diplomatic harm? That's the real deep dive for the future, isn't it?
It really is. Proactive education like this discussion and strategic planning seem crucial for anyone navigating this new landscape.
Thank you so much for being with us today. We hope you gained a lot from this discussion. Again, if you truly appreciate these deep dives, it's essential that you like, follow, subscribe, and leave a comment, as this greatly boosts the channel's reach. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. It means a great deal to us. Also, follow us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, X, and Instagram, where we're growing rapidly thanks to our social media team. We would also like to thank attorney Chris Ingram and his dedicated team once again for preparing this legal research for our presentation. If you, a friend, or a family member would like a free consultation, you can visit our website at www.breakthroughUSA.com and schedule an appointment. We'd love to hear from you and help you if we can. Bye for now.